Assalamu alaikum, students. We are going to start the second lecture on the last leaf, and in this lecture, we are going to explain lines of the passage, and then we will critically analyze those that passage. Let's start. Sue and Johnsy lived at the top of a building with 3 floors. One of these young women came from Maine, the other from California. They had met at a restaurant on 8th Street. There they discovered that they liked the same kind of art, the same kind of food, and the same kind of clothes. So they decided to live and work together. Now, the two major characters of this story have been introduced by the writer O. Henry, and he says that these two characters, their names are Sue and Johnsy. Both are girls, and they are living at the top floor in a building. It suggests isolation, but it also suggests access to light. The more up you are, the more light you get. And isolation and light both are very pivotal. They play a pivotal role while the artists are creating something. So these are part and parcel for any artist who wants to create something, who wants to create unique things. So it also subtly in hidden lines indicates that a modest financial condition, that their financial condition is not very good. They are modest. They don't have a lot of money to spend on their life or on their living. And in other words, these lines tell us that they are not very wealthy. They are not very rich. Then he says one of these young women came from Maine, the other from California. So Sue is from Maine and Johnsy is from California. This shows that they come from different parts of the country. They belong to different cultures, or they belong to um, different values or different lifestyles, right? So why is it important to tell that one is from Maine and one is from California? Because our writer wants to emphasize the the city, New York, that it is a big city and it brings together diversity of the country, people belonging to different cultures, different lifestyles, different climates. They come together in New York, like Karachi, like Pakistan has a place, a metropolitan city, where people from the whole country, from different parts of the country, go there and they try to earn their living. So New York is also same as Karachi is. Then he says they had met a restaurant on 8th Street. So their meeting, it looks that it was an ordinary and accidental meeting when they met for the first time. And that also suggests how relationships in cities often begin by chance. They are not childhood friends. Their friendship is not very old, and they just met in a restaurant and then they became friends. It happens in our lives too. So it looks that this story is reflecting our life, our common life. It happens in our lives too, that we meet someone and then we become good friends. Accidentally, we don't plan, but accidentally it happens. Then they are discovered that they like the same kind of art, the same kind of food, and the same kind of clothes. So similarities. So it is human nature that people like those people who have certain similarities in their choices, in their likings, in their dislikings. So their bond is depending on, or it's based on shared taste and interest. They have common interests. They have common taste in food, even they have the same taste in taste of clothing, right? So this thing establishes that compatibility and harmony play a vital role in taking certain decisions about our lives. And especially your compatibility and harmony provides you an opportunity to make your friendship strong, worthy, and believable, trustworthy, right? It happens with us too, isn't it? So they've decided to live and work together when they see that they have similarities, so they decide. So this decision basically reflects two things: emotions and practicality. They became friends because they were emotionally connected, and they also became friends because it was their practical need. They needed each other practically. Uh, both were basically both are struggling artists, and they are sharing space that can reduce their expenses, and that space can also provide them companionship, because good friends are gifts of God, right? So now we move to the next part. That was in spring. Now, next paragraph starts. It's one line, one sentence. That was in spring. Toward winter, a cold stranger entered Greenwich Village. No one could see him. He walked around, touching one person here and another there with his icy fingers. He was a bad sickness. Doctors called him pneumonia. Now see how how beautifully the writer has introduced an epidemic, a disease. All right. Uh, Here, spring is symbolizing. It is a symbol. Spring means startings, new beginnings. Spring also gives you the concept and feeling of hope. Spring also shows you or symbolizes life. So it suggests a positive start to their relationship. All right, Ji? And then I have read the whole paragraph. So let's see what it talks about. Here, after this one sentence, suddenly, abruptly, the writer shifts the mood. Dramatically, we feel that the mood is shifted. We see that winter has connection with cold, illness, and death. The cold stranger is a metaphor for disease that is creating suspense here. No one could see him. It is emphasizing that that the illness is invisible. You cannot see it. And that thing also makes it more frightening and uncontrollable. The enemy that you can see, the enemy that you are familiar with, to deal with such kind of enemy is easy. But when you don't know about, you don't know much about the enemy, obviously, it becomes difficult for you. It creates suspense. It creates terror. It creates fear. It creates uncomfortability, and situation gets uncontrollable. You feel that you cannot control it. You cannot control the situation. He walked around touching one person here and another there with his icy fingers. Now see how the writer is describing even a disease. It seems that if it is a person, right? Here it means that disease is described as it is physically spreading. Icy fingers. Can disease have icy fingers? So here, metaphorically, he has described disease. It suggests coldness. It suggests death. And it suggests a lack of life. Just see the comparison. Our passage, this part starts before this paragraph. We find one sentence paragraph that was in the spring. And then suddenly we read a paragraph that is totally contrary to the idea of spring. There we have idea of life, happiness, joy, new beginning, and suddenly we find death, end, sorrow, pain, right? So see how he has shown the comparison in two paragraphs. Then we move further. He was a bad sickness. Doctors called him pneumonia. The stranger, that is a disease, it is identified as pneumonia. So here, the writer has personified the disease. And by personifying that disease, the writer makes us feel that the disease is an active enemy of ours, right? So we have to be very careful about that enemy, and we have to fight, we have to resist. Now, Mr. Pneumonia was not a nice old gentleman. A nice old gentleman would not hurt a weak little woman from California, but Mr. Pneumonia touched Johnsy with his cold fingers. She lay on her bed almost without moving, and she looked through the window at the wall of the house next to hers. Now, another problem comes. One of our characters gets ill. So he's telling us, the writer is telling us that basically pneumonia, it was not a gentleman. It was not a gentleman, because gentlemen, they do not harm people who are weak. So this disease is again personified, but now here personification is also strengthened with the help of irony, that calling it a gentleman contrasts with his harmful nature. How is it possible that a gentleman can harm someone? So disease is not a nice gentleman, right? And then a nice old gentleman would not hurt a weak woman from California. The line creates sympathy for Johnsy. We feel sympathy for her. And she is described as weak, unprotected, vulnerable. And that makes the disease seem cruel and unjust. Then he says, but Mr. Pneumonia touched Johnsy with his old fingers. The illness directly attacked Johnsy and making that conflict personal. Now you feel that that is unfair. That is not a gentle act. She lay on her bed almost without moving. And she looked through the window at the wall of the house next to hers. Here it shows stagnancy. It shows that her condition is serious. She has to lay on her bed for a long period. So as a result, she becomes physically weak and inactive. And then the writer also tells us the detail how he spends, how she spends her day. So this detail is very important. Her focus is on the outside wall. That focus suggests her mental withdrawal, one. Number two, hopelessness. And number three, detachment from life. These all three are foreshadowing later events in our story. So here we stop this paragraph, our story, and now we will discuss how we'll discuss the writer's style and how he has created impact or effect on his readers. Number one, if you see before this paragraph, the first paragraph, we had a description or geographical description. Now he has introduced two characters, Sue and Johnsy. And the description or the introduction of these two is very simple, but the details are very, very important. Details give us a meaning. So we can say the details are meaningful. Their shared interest in art, food, and clothing show harmony and compatibility, and it shows to live together, certain interests must be shared, must be common, then you can move together in your life. And their decision to live together reflects both friendship and economic necessity. When you are having companionship, it's not only emotions, it is also certain practical need, and economy matters a lot. If you says, okay, emotions, only emotions can help you live, it is not fair. You are in the wrong ship. Your economic needs also play a vital role in choosing certain people. Johnsy is basically, she is later portrayed as weak, as vulnerable. Then that thing makes the reader sympathize with her, because we always feel sympathy for a person who is weak. So this contrast between their hopeful beginning and then suddenly Johnsy's illness deepens emotional impact. It arouses our emotions. then you can see strong personification. The most striking technique by the writer is the personification of pneumonia as Mr. Pneumonia. The disease is described as an invisible stranger who has icy fingers, who walks around touching people, harming them, inflicting pain to them. This just transforms that abstract illness into a living, threatening figure. The figure that is threatening the lives of human beings. It makes it more vivid and frightening. It also creates the sense of an enemy that is attacking the community, that is not gentle, that is rude, that is cruel, right? That is behaving like savages. Then we also find symbolism. See, we find in this part seasonal change. First spring, and then suddenly we find cold weather. Season is shown, the season is getting changed. And that seasonal change plays a symbolic role. Spring represents hope, friendship, new beginnings, whereas, contrary to that, winter symbolizes death, illness, decline, ending, stagnancy. Similarly, the cold stranger, this phrase, symbolizes not just disease, but also the inevitability of suffering. Suffering cannot be escaped. You cannot escape suffering. So Johnson's act of staring at the wall is also symbolic. It symbolizes that she has lost hope. She has withdrawn from life emotionally. She's losing hope. Then another technique that is used by the writer and makes him very powerful writer, that is imagery. The writer is using strong visual and sensory imagery. You can sense it, you can feel it, such as icy fingers and John C. lying still in bed. These images create a clear picture of coldness, weakness, and suffering. And we find the contrast between lively spring and harsh winter that enhances the emotional atmosphere. We feel emotional here. Then if you see tone and mood of the writer, so the the tone of the story shifts from warm and hopeful in the beginning to dark and threatening with the arrival of the disease. Clear shift you can find. First, you are feeling happy. In one sentence, you feel happy, and suddenly your mood changes, your tone changes, and the mood becomes tense, it becomes serious, it becomes somber, and it prepares us for the emotional struggles that are coming ahead in the lives of our characters. And this contrast is strengthening the impact of the story. It makes the story powerful. It will create, or it will leave a powerful, very strong effect on our minds, on our emotions. Now, if you want to analyze it critically, what you can say that basically how this passage is important in the development of story. So this passage is marking a transition from hope to despair. It reflects the fragile nature of human life. It is very vulnerable. Human beings are very vulnerable. They are unprotected. At any time, they can lose hope. They can finish their life. Their life can come to end. From a social perspective, it shows how individuals from different backgrounds come together in cities like Greenwich Village in search of artistic and economic survival. The personification of pneumonia as a cruel, invisible force also emphasizes the unpredictability of illness and the vulnerability of human beings. You can get ill at any time. You are that diseases are unpredictable. They don't come uh, by informing you. They suddenly, abruptly they come and they destroy your life. They destroy your hopes. They destroy your emotions. They destroy your feelings. They destroy you physically. So symbolically, the shift from spring to winter is basically representing the movement from life to death, while Jones's physical stillness reflects her psychological decline. She is psychology. When you mentally you are strong, you can defeat anything. When you are mentally, psychologically, you are not strong, you will be defeated easily. So this paragraph or this part of story is highlighting the theme of isolation as Johnsy withdraws into herself despite having a close companion. She stays alone. She likes staying alone. She doesn't try to get help from her companion, from her friend who's sharing room with her, who has similar or same interest. So, though this vivid imagery and uh, uh, a tonal contrast is is you can feel it, and with the help of this vivid imagery and this contrast, our writer is preparing us, we readers, for a deeply emotional exploration of hope, despair, and human resilience. When you have hope, you can uh, show resistance, and resistance matters. If you are not resisting, it means you are losing the battle. Whatever the situation is, you have to show resistance, and resistance comes through hope. If you're hopeful, then you will resist. If you are in despair, then you cannot resist. You will lose the battle. So we can conclude that this paragraph or this part of the story is effectively developing character, conflict, and mood. Three things are being developed here. You can also find contrast between friendship and hope. On one side, friendship up and hope are standing, and on the other side, illness and despair are in a group. So we can find a contrast between both. And we see that the writer uses powerful techniques like personification and symbolism to show such contrast between friendship and hope and with illness and despair. It sets the stage for the central emotional conflict of the story. It is preparing us, it is preparing a stage, right? So, till now, I hope you have understood it. Listen to it carefully, make notes. If you have any questions, you can ask me at any time. If you're not clear about anything, you can freely ask me your questions, your queries will be appreciated. For till now, we will finish our lecture, and inshallah, next lecture will be prepared and delivered as soon as possible. Thank you for watching.